jury, Mr. Edwin?
I am, Your Honor. Okay, Ken, if you'd invite them in, please, and Mr. McEnroe, if you'd invite you back into the stand, sir.
Rise of the jury.
Lack of truth in that. Is that all right with you?
Yes, let's.
Last Thursday, when you finished up your direct examination,
Yes.
you told Mr. Prestia that after a certain point you began telling the truth to Detective Pavlovich.
Yes.
And later on in that testimony, on Thursday, you changed that, didn't you?
Did I?
Well, didn't you admit to Mr. Prestia that, in fact, you lied to Detective Pavlovich, even after you claimed you started telling the truth?
Which point?
True or not?
Oh, I said which point?
Well, remember, Mr. Prestia asked if you were actively trying to mislead Detective Pavlovich, and you simply said you were trying to give him, quote-unquote, the simplest answer.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And that question was directed to your admission to Detective Pavlovich as to the reason why you murdered those two little children.
Yes.
And in contrast to what you said to Detective Pavlovich and Deputy Buchan on December 26, 2007, when you said that they were murdered because they were witnesses to your crime, you changed that last Thursday, didn't you?
Yes, I did explain that more fully last Thursday.
So the new reason that you gave to the jury last Thursday for murdering those two children was, quote, they were getting corrupted and turning into like dark entities, unquote. You remember saying that?
I said that was part of it. I believe I said that was part of it.
So is your testimony now, or is your claim now that when you told Detective Pavlovich that you killed them because they were witnesses, that actually wasn't true? You're simply trying to give them the simplest answer.
That was part of it.
What's your definition of a lie?
An untruth?
And is it true that you killed those children because they were witnesses?
Yes, that is part of it.
And what you added last Thursday for the first time was this claim that they were getting corrupted and turning into dark entities.
Yeah, that's what she sold me on.
And you didn't tell Detective Pavlovich that because you only wanted to give him the simple truth, or the simplest truth.
I didn't want to have to explain what that means. Yeah. I thought all he needed was, okay, this is one that'll go off and put me in the box if you want to go ahead. I don't care.
Do you recall when Detective Pavlovich asked you, he didn't ask you for a simple answer or the simple truth. He simply asked for an explanation, did he not?
Yes, he did.
And you gave him a fairly detailed explanation back on December 26, 2007, did you not?
I don't know. What page is that on?
Page 88.
Okay. Let's see. That's too far. Okay.
Remember the question, quote, when did you decide that it would be, when did you decide that Erica and Olivia and Nathan had to be shot? Your answer, I feel so stupid for doing that because, I feel so stupid for doing that now because we're here.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the room, they saw everything.
Yes.
His response is right. And then you said, quote, they saw everything. They would turn us in. They thought that if we left, we thought if we left them alone, if we walked away, we'd be here telling you what I am now. The same reason we shot Mom. That's the same.
Yeah.
So you actually gave him a fairly detailed answer.
Relatively, yes.
But though you couldn't really just tell him anything more than the simple truth because he wouldn't understand it.
Yes.
And you also admitted in that statement, that's why you killed Judy.
Yes.
None of this, well, we thought that she threatened us, or she posed some kind of risk to Michelle Anderson and to me. You said the same as for Mom.
Yes, I did say that.
And then again at page 89, he repeated it.
Yes.
Question, what was the reason for shooting Erica, Olivia, and Nathan? Your answer, quote, I didn't want them to turn us in, unquote.
Yeah.
He says you didn't want them what? Your answer, I didn't want them to turn us in, you know. His question, you didn't want them to what? Your answer, turn us in. He says, turn you in, and you say, yeah. Over and over and over again, he asked you what the reason was. And we have it repeated because Detective Pavlovich has not had very good hearing.
Yes.
And every single time it was because they were witnesses to your murders.
Okay. Yes, I said that.
And you said, quote, I didn't want them to turn us in. Did you mix up your pronouns again?
No, I did not.
And now you're telling us that that was not accurate because you simply were trying to give Detective Pavlovich the simple answer.
I'm not saying that that wasn't accurate. That was accurate. I'm just saying that's not all of it. Partially because of that and partially because I was confused. But it doesn't really matter in the end. I mean, the end result is that they're dead and that I killed them. So whether I believed that we were in danger and whether I believed that they were becoming corrupted or whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is that they're dead and that I killed them. And that should not have happened, and that's all that matters, really, isn't it?
You ready for another question?
Yes, I am.
You were claiming last Thursday this issue, this idea about them becoming dark entities,
Mm-hmm.
that you were concerned that Olivia and Nathan would grow up and hurt people.
Yeah.
And Mr. Presti asked you, quote, but if that was the truth, why not just tell it to him, meaning Detective Pavlovich?
Mm-hmm.
And your answer was, because that doesn't matter. And his question back to you was, why doesn't matter? And you said, quote, I was concerned they were dark, because she was concerned about their corruption and stuff, because no, we were concerned about their corruption, that they were would corrupt and hurt people after going through something like that.
Yeah.
Question, they would grow up and hurt people? Your answer, yeah. Stupid.
Yeah.
So you murdered these two kids because you thought they would grow up corrupted, having witnessed you murder their entire family.
As I said, no. Yeah, stupid. No, that doesn't even begin to cover it.
I didn't hear you.
No, that doesn't even begin to cover it.
And when you thought
My
that...
choice would have been to just leave, but she didn't want that, so...
Mr. McEnroe, you were concerned that Olivia and Nathan would grow up and hurt people?
And that they would have lives of suffering of their own because of what they'd gone through, yeah.
Were you concerned that they would grow up and shoot little kids in the head?
hadn't even thought of that, no. It's obvious to, when you're looking at it in a clear light, without the whole rigmarole of crap that was going on in my life or mind at that point, that, one, it could have been easily, whatever concerns about how they might have turned out could have been easily avoided by simply not having them go through that. And two, even if they weren't going to end up, even if there was, for some God forbid reason that they needed to go through that, well then, even if they did go through that, the outcome of them, if they turned into bad people, probably wouldn't have been almost certainly would not have been worse than what would have happened, than what did happen. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to say it's okay. I'm not trying to just fob it off like it's not a big deal. I'm trying to say that I was not thinking on any kind of logical level. That doesn't make it right. I'm just trying to explain why it happened, not excuse myself. There is no excuse for something like this.
Mr. McEnroe, do you remember last week, it was even the week before, when you first testified, that you told Mr. Prestia that you do not like to draw attention to yourself?
This is true.
And you said you don't like to draw attention to your problems.
This is true.
You said, quote, I don't like to come clean about my problems, unquote. Do you remember saying that?
Don't like to make a big deal of my problems or anything, no.
You sure about that?
I am sure about that. Nobody else cares about that. That's not, I deal with my own problems. That's not their problem.
Well, would you agree with me that for a person who says he does not like to complain, you've spent a lot of time on the witness stand complaining about others?
Have I?
You've complained about your mother, have you not?
If anything, I downplayed what was going on there. Actually, most of these things, I've downplayed them.
So things were much, much worse than you've led this jury to believe.
I wouldn't say much, much worse.
Complained about your brother?
Yes.
You've complained about your step-grandmother?
Yes.
You've complained about the men in your mother's lives?
Yes.
You've complained about your teachers?
Yes.
You've complained about the way you say they treated you in school?
Yes.
In fact, didn't you tell us once that the reason why you dropped out of school was not that you weren't doing well? Remember that? It's because you were sick one day in class. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you told the jury that you went to the nurse, right?
Yes.
And when you came back, your teacher had let somebody take all your stuff.
And in fact, he said to go off and leave the stuff behind when I went off to see the nurse. Yes.
And it's your testimony that that teacher gave away your books and everything to somebody else.
No, my testimony is that the teacher said to leave that stuff, to leave it behind, just go off to the nurse, and then when I came back, somebody had taken it. I'm not saying that the teacher had anything to do with that.
You recall saying, at page 33, April 2nd transcript, your teacher had let somebody take all your stuff?
Yes.
And Mr. Prestia asked you, and you answered something about you weren't able to replace the books.
Yes.
And so that was the end of school for you.
Basically, yes.
So it was your teacher's fault.
To an extent, yes.
And whoever it was who took all your books.
Yes.
You complained about your classmates last week.
Mm-hmm.
And you have complained fairly consistently and incessantly about Michelle Anderson.
Yes.
Over the course of your testimony, would you agree with me that you have tried to give this jury information about what you claim your life has been like?
Yes.
Information about what you claim was going on in your childhood?
Yes.
What was going on at school?
Yes.
And your work history as well?
Yes.
And obviously you think this information is significant, do you not?
Yes.
You believe it helped shape you into the person you are today?
I wouldn't be mentioning any of this stuff if I didn't think there was some significance to it.
So you think everything that you have said is significant, correct?
I've tried to be significant with the complaints that I've voiced.
Well, let's talk a little bit for a few moments about your religious background, what you told Mr. Prestia.
Yes.
Okay? I think you told the jury that when you were younger, at one time, you or your family was Catholic.
Yes.
And then I think you said at some point your mother decided that the family should be Baptist.
Yes.
And then you told Mr. Prestia about becoming a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And you indicated that that membership in the Jehovah's Witnesses was a pretty significant event in your life.
Yes, I was very into that.
You were a member for years, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
In fact, you told the jury that you studied to be a lay minister.
Yes, I did.
Beginning at the age of 13.
I'm not sure exactly about the age, but I think it was about 13, yes.
And that you pursued that interest, that
Yes.
affiliation with Jehovah's Witnesses for years.
Yes, I did.
In fact, you described it to Mr. Prestia as saying, quote, I was very into it, unquote.
I don't think
Remember
4
that?
years, it's only about 2-3 years, but yes.
And that, quote, this was really the center of my life, unquote,
Yes.
for a couple of years.
Yes.
Mr. Prestia asked you why you liked it so much. You remember what your response was?
No, I do not. Could you enlighten me?
Quote, I think because it gave me some purpose, some sense of belonging, some sense of meaning.
Yes.
I mean, having a sense of belonging that was really a sense of acceptance, unquote. Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
Sounds like a pretty good thing,
Yes.
a pretty important thing,
Yes.
and a pretty significant thing.
Yes.
You also talked to Mr. Prestia about episodes that you claim of depression in your life.
Yes.
And you've talked about how depressed you were when a relationship with a woman or a girl didn't work out.
Yes.
And you said you would be depressed sometimes for months.
I'm not sure if I'm the one that said that, but yes, it's true.
You also mentioned a claimed suicide attempt when you were very young.
Yes.
Recall that? Were between the ages of 6 and 8?
Yes, I remember that.
Recall what you said to Mr. Prestia, quote, when I was about 6 to 8 years old, that was the first time I tried to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Prestia answered, hold on, that was the first time you what? And your response was, tried to commit suicide. I went and wrapped, I was actually in the living room, and I went over and wrapped a curtain cord around my neck. Mr. Prestia asked you, hold on, you wrapped a what? And your response was, curtain cord around my neck, and tried to hang and try to asphyxiate myself.
Yes.
Now, I found out since then that that doesn't actually work.
Yes.
And remember, Mr. Prestia followed up with you regarding that claim.
Yes.
And he asked you, who was in the room? And your response was, everybody was in the room.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes. They were watching TV.
And he said, Mr. Prestia asked you, well, wait a second. I'll let you tell us what you're getting at. Everybody was right there? And you said, yeah. Mr. Prestia asked, and you're wrapping this curtain cord around your neck, and nobody is saying, hey, stop that?
Mm-hmm.
And your response was, what I'm getting at is, if any of them ended up watching this or hearing this, meaning this trial, right?
Yes.
This is the first time they would know about it, as far as I know.
Yes.
Mr. Prestia asked you, why wouldn't they know about it? Weren't they in the same room? And you answered, yeah. Because I wasn't in front of them, I was off to the side. I was actually feeling really just upset with myself, angry with myself, just nobody gives a damn, and so I'm going to prove it.
Yeah.
It's your testimony that you tried to commit suicide in a room full of people and no one noticed.
Yes.
Sounds pretty traumatic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, you've seen all the exhibits introduced in this case, have you not?
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
You've seen Dr. Dutton's report, have you not?
I have not actually gone through his report, no.
Exhibit 175.
I haven't gone through his report.
You heard it discussed in court, did you not?
I heard it discussed, but I've never gone through it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand you a copy now.
Okay. Thank you.
Would you agree with me that Dr. Dutton testified that he did a very detailed analysis of your background that led to his opinion and conclusions?
Yes.
He did a social history on you, did he not?
Yes.
A family history,
Yes.
education,
Yes.
employment,
Yes.
your relationship with Michelle Anderson,
Yes.
and he detailed it in that 59-page report, did he not?
I suppose so, yes.
You're also aware that he took notes, because we talked about them at length when he testified. Do you recall that?
Yes.
His interview sessions with you,
Yes.
16 sessions, do you
Yes.
recall it? Over 6 years,
Yes.
for more than 40 hours.
Yes.
Mr. McEnroe, can you explain to us why there's not a single mention anywhere in Dr. Dutton's report or anything else about the Jehovah's Witnesses?
Jehovah's Witnesses? I don't know. I thought we were talking about my suicide attempt. No, I did mention the Jehovah's Witnesses to him. I don't know why he didn't mention it.
It's something that you told this jury was the center of your life for at least 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I don't know why he didn't mention it.
But it's your claim now that you mentioned it to Dr. Dutton and he simply never noted it.
Apparently not, no.
By the way, when you remember the Jehovah's Witnesses, what did they think of Crow?
They thought he was a demon.
But you still stayed there for 2 or 3 years and studied to be a lay minister.
And avoided Crow during that time, yes.
What was that?
And avoided Crow during that time, yes.
So, you asked me, you thought we were talking about your suicide attempt? Let's
Yes.
talk about it.
Okay.
Why is it nowhere mentioned in Dr. Dutton's 59-page report, this claim that you attempted to commit suicide between the age of 6 and 8 in a room full of people?
I don't know. I told him that too.
You told Dr. Dutton that.
Yes.
He just forgot to put it in.
I don't know. Auto strangulation. That's 17.5. That'd be the point where we had talked about that, I think.
Does that say when you were 6 to 8 years old in a room full of people?
No, it does not.
But you think you might have told him that he just forgot to put it in?
No, I know I told him that.
Well, let's talk about remember the silencer that you were making?
Yes, I did.
Remind us, that was made for Michelle Anderson.
I was going to be making it for Michelle Anderson, yes.
And that's nowhere mentioned in Dr. Dutton's 59-page report, is it?
I don't believe so. I haven't read it.
Did you tell him that and he forgot to put it in?
I do not believe I mentioned it to him.
Well, say again, counsel.
Objection calls for speculation.
Let me break that into 2 questions. Did you tell him about it?
I do not believe I've mentioned it to him, no.
Not significant that you claim your girlfriend at the time asked you to make a silencer for her.
No, actually, I had found I had found out how to make it myself, and I started making it myself, and then I realized that this was a bad idea, so I stopped.
You told the jury, I think last week, that you were willing to make the silencer because you were, quote, just trying to make her happy, unquote. Do you recall that?
Yes,
That you didn't expect to use it.
yes,
You repeated, just trying to make her happy.
yes,
At some point you said to the jury that you realized you didn't have the right tools to make the silencer.
yes.
Correct? And that you thought about using Wayne's tools.
Actually, that was her suggestion, but yes.
But you told the jury, Michelle Anderson said, no, you can't use Wayne's tools. Do you remember saying that?
Right, the vice. Because I'd asked her, well, how about we go off and use Wayne's vice? And she said, no, we'll just go off and do something else. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
So what is it? She wanted you to use Wayne's tools?
No, no. I wasn't. You were right. I was incorrect about that.
You said that she didn't want you in her father's shop. Remember that?
No, I said that he didn't want us in those shop. Without him, though, yeah. He was very proprietorial about his little den, which was his shop.
And this discussion with respect to whether to use Wayne's shop is nowhere in that entry in your journal about the silencer, is it?
No, because that occurred a week or two after the journal entry occurred a week or two after this discussion.
You mentioned nowhere in the journal entry that it was Michelle Anderson. It was Michelle Anderson's idea, and nowhere in the journal anything about wanting to use Wayne's shop and her vetoing that idea.
Wait. I didn't say it was her idea. And like I said, a week or so later was when I found out that that wasn't going to work. So.
Do you recall saying on that witness stand that Michelle Anderson wanted you to make a silencer?
Yeah, she did.
But now you're saying it was not her idea?
No, it wasn't her idea.
By the way, the plan was not just to make her a silencer, was it?
I'm sorry?
The plan was not simply to make Michelle a silencer, was it?
What else?
Well, weren't you planned on making 2 silencers, didn't you?
No, I only plan on making one.
Didn't you plan on making one for Michelle and one for yourself?
You can't make a silencer for a revolver.
So it's your testimony you were only planning on making 1 silencer?
I remember looking into it, but a silencer does not work for a revolver.
I'm going to hand you Exhibit 179A and ask if you recognize that as your journal.
This is my drawing, yeah. I mean, this is my writing.
I'm going to have you turn to, is there a document production number on the bottom?
Yes, there is.
Turn to page 5455.
Okay. Okay.
Does that not say there, quote, I've just spent the past 5 hours shaving the internal threads from a PVC pipe?
Yes.
I'd feel less bad about spending all this time on it if it was done. It
Yeah.
isn't? Does it
Right.
say that? I have 2 to do with 1 half done.
Yeah.
The best part is the further I get, the harder it becomes.
Yes.
And then you use the word fuck.
Yes.
So you were not just making 1 silencer, were you?
Actually, yes, I was. There was 2 ends. I spent 5 hours on the one end, and I was only halfway done at that one end. I still had the other end to do.
So that it counts for you as a second silencer.
No, it's those 2 ends of one silencer.
And you claim now that you never, ever completed that.
I did not.
And that it was whose idea?
It was my idea, actually.
You told us last week that when you fought with Michelle, quote, most of the times I end up curled in a ball in the corner of the room tearing at myself.
Yes.
Did you ever tell Dr. Dutton that?
I do not recall.
Do you know if
I
it's
believe
anywhere
so.
in his report?
I haven't read his report.
Would it surprise you to learn that it's not in his report?
Yes.
Why would it surprise you if you don't recall whether you told him?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if I hadn't told him, then I guess he wouldn't have noted it then.
You also testified on direct examination that when you lived with Michelle Anderson in Kent, you once confronted somebody with a crowbar. You remember that?
Not in Kent, no. It was in Fall City.
Somebody who'd been trying the locks on the truck?
Somebody who was actually trying he was trying the locks on the truck, and then he guided his dog up to the front door. I opened up the front door, and he's standing right on the outside of the front door. And I was standing there with a wrecking ball. I was like, hey, be careful, I could have hurt you.
Is that part of your goal to be a guardian rather than a warrior? You see something going on, you pick up a crowbar?
I see something going on, and I try to scare the person off. Yeah. If I had somebody, there was somebody standing outside the door, I was not grabbing that to hit him with it. I was grabbing it to point out, like, hey. And in fact, I said, look, if I didn't know it was you, I could have hurt somebody. I did not want nor desire to hurt him. I just didn't want him going up and doing whatever the hell it was that he was doing.
Mr. McEnroe, is it not true that you see yourselves as a hero in a way?
No, I do not.
Well, haven't you testified and haven't you told others that if you hadn't been there, it would have been a whole lot worse?
I try to keep it from being any worse than it had to be. That doesn't make it heroic. That doesn't even make it right or good. I don't know, maybe it's just my way of trying to live with it a little bit.
Well, at one point you told this jury that at least they didn't suffer.
And then shortly afterward, I pointed out that, even though I thought that, compared to what might have happened, they didn't suffer, they still obviously suffered the awfulness of watching their family die, of the hits that they took before I finished them, before I killed them, the awfulness of the fear of sitting there and going through this thing. So, as I said with Mr. Prestia, no, I guess that's not really an accurate statement, is it?
Do you remember telling somebody in June of 2011 that you saved several lives?
I've tried to help people throughout being here. I've tried to go and rehabilitate and save them from, if nothing else, themselves. So that's the only context that I can remember saying something like that in.
You know who Dr. Sally Johnson is?
Yes, I do.
She's an expert hired by the defense, is she not?
Yes, she is.
She's a psychiatrist, is she not?
Yes.
And she probably will testify, I'm guessing, next week.
I imagine so.
You remember talking to her in June of 2011 about the murders?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember saying to her that if you'd left, it would have been worse?
Yes.
You remember saying to her that you saved several lives?
Yes.
We're not talking
I remember now what you're talking about, yes.
We're not talking about your missionary work in the jail, right?
I understand that. No, these weren't the only people that she had wanted to kill, and I'd managed to talk her out of killing several other people, so.
You told Dr. Johnson in June of 2011, did you not, that you knew Michelle Anderson was going up there to attack them, meaning Wayne and Judy?
Yes.
That you knew she was going there to hurt people?
Yes.
This wasn't simply to see if there was a conversation that might go bad. You knew it was going to happen.
Yes, I did.
And you likened it to combat.
Yes, I did.
And you told Dr. Johnson that you decided you would be there to kill them.
Did I put it like that?
You put it like this. You compared it to euthanasia. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
So that they wouldn't suffer.
Yeah. And I was wrong in that because, euthanasia that applies to animals, not humans. No, I was wrong in that as well.
And you begin when your testimony, by telling this jury that you didn't think that the victims suffered.
I didn't, and then I realized, I thought that single shot like that would have kept them from suffering, but then I really thought about it and realized that no, they still suffered all of the awfulness that went with it. So no, they did.
When you were first asked, the first comment that you made on direct examination last week was at least they didn't suffer. Correct?
Yes, and I was wrong in that.
You believed that for the last 7 years, haven't you?
I believed that I had kept them from... Yeah, I had believed that they hadn't gone through any more pain than considering what was going on necessary, and that doesn't make it right. I wasn't trying to say made it right at the time.
After believing for 7 years that nobody suffered, having told this jury last Monday that nobody suffered, you changed it on Thursday, your last day on the stand, didn't you?
I realized that I was incorrect, yeah.
And you changed it because Mr. Prestia asked you, quote, what do you mean nobody suffered? Do you remember that question?
Yeah, I do, actually, yeah. And he pointed out that, okay, well, what about, what was it? Do you think Erica didn't suffer watching her husband die, or knowing that her children might be in danger next? Do you think that Olivia didn't suffer from having been shot earlier? Do you think that Nathan didn't suffer from having to be there while all this stuff was happening? Do you think that any of this was no suffering? And I had to realize and really recognize that I try to keep it as minimal as possible, but even that, no, it wasn't enough. It was not, I cannot say that they did not suffer, at least in some way. I try to make it so that they wouldn't, but obviously it's a null answer. I mean, you can't, like I said, euthanasia does not exist for humans. It's just not.
But you believed that for 7 years? You told the jury that Monday of last week? For some reason, you changed your mind last Thursday.
I just told you the reason why. Because it was pointed out, it's like, look, do you really think so? Really think about that a second. I guess it's another case of willful ignorance, where I just did not want to think about it. I did not want to go off and really accept that it probably was even worse than I was thinking about.
Somebody tell you how offensive that sounded?
Yeah, and at that point I was like, why would that sound offensive? And then I realized, actually, that was completely wrong.
But you didn't buy it back completely, did you, last Thursday?
Didn't I?
Remember testifying, quote, that Erica probably suffered? Do you remember saying that? Yes or no?
I believe I said that, but I don't mean... I'm not meaning to go and
You remember saying that
downplay it.
You remember saying
she almost totally suffered. I can't say... Here's the thing is, I can't say that she did or didn't. She almost only did, okay? I can't say whether or not she did, but obviously she very probably did. 99 points, whatever, reality that she probably suffered and probably... I mean, she certainly didn't die happy, that's for damn sure. So, I'm not trying to say anything else. I'm not trying to go and absolve myself here. I'm not trying to say that this is okay. It's not.
You remember saying last Thursday that Judy probably suffered watching her husband die?
Yeah, she probably did.
Do you remember saying last Thursday that you imagined Olivia and Nathan may have suffered?
I imagine they did, yeah.
But you said on Thursday you were trying to keep the suffering down.
I was.
You said on Thursday you didn't, quote, want more suffering than absolutely necessary.
Yes. And I failed in that.
You even expressed annoyance, Mr. McEnroe, did you not, at the autopsy photos?
Annoyance?
You remember what you said about Judy's autopsy photo? Quote, the autopsy picture was not the way I had left her, unquote.
That's not annoyance. I was saying that when the expression that was on her face, I was not expressing annoyance. I was saying, I don't remember leaving her with that expression on her face. That's all I was saying.
So you were saying that that autopsy photo was inaccurate because that's not how you left her face.
No, I'm saying that through a rictus or whatever, her face, her expression changed. I don't know why, and I don't know how. I do not have any doubt that that autopsy photo was completely accurate. I am absolutely certain it was. However, I did not leave her with that expression on her face. Through rictus or whatever else, it must have changed. I don't know how.
So it's your claim that you are not responsible for that look of horror on Judy Anderson's face?
My claim is that when she died, she did not have that look on her face. When I killed her, she did not have that look on her face. No.
And that look is a look of horror and terror, is it not?
That's what it looks like.
And you're claiming you did not leave her with that look.
That is my claim, yes.
Tell us how you left her.
She looked like Erica did. That's what she looked like when I moved her into the shed.
Mr. McEnroe, you shot Judy Anderson's husband in the head, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
You shot Wayne Anderson in the head in front of Judy Anderson, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
And Judy Anderson began screaming.
I'm not saying she didn't have any good reason to have that look on her face. God knows she did have a perfectly good reason, number of reasons to have that look on her face. I'm just saying I did not leave her with it, that she did not have that look on her face when she died. Yes, she had every reason to have that look on her face. What I'm saying is that she did not have that look on her face when she died. That's all.
Do you remember what you told detectives?
If I had seen that look on her face, I would not have even said that there wasn't any suffering. Okay, I mean that was obviously the way that looks is so. I don't remember her having that look, but maybe I missed it. I certainly don't remember her having that look, though. That's all I was saying. It was not an expression of annoyance or a doubt of that actually being Judy or anything else.
She might have had that look, but you might have missed it?
My recollection is that she had a similar expression to Erica.
Do you remember her screaming as you shot her husband to death in front
I
of her?
do remember, no, not as I shot her husband. I remember her screaming when I turned to her.
After you shot her husband?
Yeah, not to nitpick or anything, just...
After you shot Judy Anderson's husband in the head,
Yes.
You turned to her with a gun in your hand and she began screaming.
That's what I said, yes.
And you're not responsible for the look on her face that we saw.
I'm not saying I'm not responsible for the look on her face. I'm saying that when I put her in the shed, she did not have that look on her face. I don't know how she got that look on her face.
You shot Judy Anderson's husband in the head, you turned to her with a gun in your hand, and you only think she probably suffered?
No, she certainly suffered. No, almost certainly suffered, like I said. I can't say for sure. I'm not home. She almost certainly suffered having to go through that, though. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't like going and putting, oh, well, this certainly happened, this certainly happened. In all reality, yeah, it certainly happened like that. It certainly was, like I said, she had every reason to have that look of whatever.
Terror?
Horror, actually, is what I was thinking. But, I still did not believe I left her with that look.
When you fired on her the first time and you missed, you think she suffered?
Yes. Yes, I think she did.
When you advanced on her with a gun in your hand and she cowered in the corner next to the refrigerator and the wall, do you think she suffered then?
I did not advance on her into the corner. She did not cower in that corner.
You saw that wound track.
Yes.
You're suggesting to her that Judy, and you're suggesting to us that Judy Anderson did not suffer when you fired that second bullet?
I'm sure she did. No, all I'm saying is that I did not advance over there. What happened is I had turned, and she started screaming. I fired on her, and the second time I hit, she was thrown back into the corner by the fridge, and then I went over there and I told her, "I'm sorry, Mom," and then I fired on her. Am I saying that she didn't suffer in the course of that? No, she almost certainly did.
Do you have any doubt, Mr. McEnroe, that after that first shot missed, before the second shot, Judy Anderson knew she was going to die?
I have no doubt, no. And I cannot say, okay, does that mean that she didn't suffer? No, I'm sure she did.
When that second bullet severed her spine, she continued to say, no, no, no. You have any doubt that
She was not
suffered
saying
then?
anything at that point. After the bullet hit her, she was not saying anything. But I'm sure she was still suffering. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to claim she did not suffer. She almost certainly did suffer. And that's what I tried to say before, and that's what I'm trying to say now, is that, you know, I'm not trying to no, she certainly did suffer there, and they almost certainly did as well. That's what I was trying to point out. Look, he probably suffered, she probably suffered, they all probably suffered. But the only reason I say probably is because I'm not sure I don't believe I can go off, like, say, with absolute certainty about anything. That's all.
How about this? Before you fired the bullet into her brain, do you think she was aware that her son and daughter-in-law and grandchildren were due to arrive? Do you think she suffered then, or is it just probably?
I think that if she had thought of it, then she probably would have, that certainly would have bothered her a lot. That certainly would have been a cause of great suffering for her, yes. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. I don't know if she even thought about that. I hope she didn't. But there's probably a good chance that she did, and if she did, she probably did suffer because she was a good person like that because she cared about other people. And
Mr. McEnroe, after you severed her spine with the second bullet, the bullet that entered her neck, she was no threat to you at all, was she? She was paralyzed.
she was no threat to me at all in the first place.
And nevertheless, you walked up to her,
And killed
got
her.
within 2 feet,
Yes.
looked into her eyes, and put a bullet in her brain.
I did not look into her eyes, but it doesn't matter. But yes, nonetheless, I did kill her, yes.
Close enough
Exactly.
that the stippling from that gun scarred her face.
That the stippling from the gun destroyed her brain, that it shredded part of her skull, yes. As was evidenced by the photographs that the medical examiner produced, yes.
Having watched her husband be shot to death in front of her,
Yes.
having watched as you shot her,
Yes.
and knowing full well that her children and grandchildren were due to arrive that afternoon, do you
Yes.
think she only probably suffered?
How many times are we going to go over the same thing? Yes.
That's all I have for today, Your Honor. This might be a good time to take a break, if that's okay with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please leave your notepads and pens there on the chairs and excuse the jury room. And you will release you momentarily. Please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else or do any research such and the like, and we will see you tomorrow morning, and we commence at 9.